Welcome back to another episode of Wives Getting Lives, the podcast where we talk about life beyond being a wife. Hi, Ally.
Hey, Donna, how are you today?
I feel like doo-doo turds.
Donna is sick, so if you'll notice, we are not together for today's interview, but she is here in spirit, and we've connected via Zoom with an old friend of mine named Kristal, and Kristal is going to tell us today about the amazing world of diving.
Hello. Nice to meet everyone.
So, Kristal, how did you get into diving?
It actually started as a girl. I was always fascinated with the marine world. And it was just something that happened on our 15-year anniversary. My husband and I have a thing where instead of buying each other gifts, we fulfill each other's dreams. So each year we take turns fulfilling a dream we've had since childhood. And it just so happened that we were taking a trip to Florida. And so the idea of scuba came up. And so we got into private lessons together, and it was something that we loved, and it just transformed our lives from there.
That is really sweet that y'all do that.
Yeah, I think that's completely amazing that you guys are motivated enough to accomplish one another's goals together. I think that's beautiful.
It really is.
It's definitely important to remember that just because we're adults doesn't mean our inner child doesn't still have dreams and goals that we wanted to achieve, and doesn't mean that goes away. And I think what really changed it for Mike and I, as far as traveling with these dreams, is, I heard once that your money will return, but your time won't. And that really affected us both profoundly in such a way that we decided never again would we, sit on time.
It's absolutely important to nurture your inner child and be aware that time is so fleeting and you never know how much you have left. So it's pertinent to make the best of that.
Absolutely. And it starts so simple. There's local dive shops somewhere in your community. Check them out. You can get started for as little as $50 for an hour of tri scuba. If you decide you like it and it's for you, then definitely take lessons and get your open water certification. And from there, it only opens up a world of different specialties and experiences that you can experience, or even hobbies within scuba that you can, create as well.
What licensing comes after the open water certification?
That is entirely actually up to the diver. So for me, it's kind of important to get every specialty under my belt that I can, because I'm looking to do it all. For some people, they want to know photography, and so they get into photography classes for scuba and macro lenses and macro photography. And then there's other areas like shipwrecks and ship history. For my husband, that's his preference. He wants to do old World War II vessels or shipwrecks, and then learn the history about who manned that craft and how it went down.
He's really hoping he strikes gold with this.
Oh yes. First, and that's another specialty. Some get their license and then go out there to the Bahamas or the Florida coast, or the Outer Banks, and they search for treasure. For me, I want to be around every species of creature in the water that I can get my hands on. I love being around sharks. The closer the better. I'll scare the shit out of myself doing it, but at the end of the day, I'm going to get as close as I can.
That scared me. Just seeing you get close to it, I was like, panic attack.
Have you ever had any close encounters while diving?
Yes, it does happen. There are some species actually that just get curious. You're down there, it's not something they see every day. And so they want to check you out. And that's something about shark that's often misguided about movies and Hollywood, is that what you see about sharks is entirely untrue. For most species, they're only going to go after dying or dead prey. Because if they strike once and get it wrong, it could kill them.
Yeah.
And so the entire Hollywood industry has kind of made, sharks a species to fear, and it's not. Whenever they get too close and it's uncomfortable, we push them out of the way or use our fins to bump their nose, and they'll skitter out. Nothing, I couldn't handle.
So the tap them on the nose thing, that's true?
It is true, but you definitely stiff arm. Don't tap them. Keep your arms stiff, and that helps to kind of keep, so that they come in quickly. It keeps you pushing out of the way too, so that area between you and them
More
doesn't
distance.
collapse further. Correct. So, and that's why we try to use our fins first, is because if we can hit them on the fins with our nose, it'll misdirect them then. But if they bite, it'll hit the fins and not us. So
yeah. So as far as the equipment you use, is that something that you've purchased yourself or something you use rentals for?
So that's a good question, actually. A lot of times you have different shops set up in different areas where you can go diving at, and you can actually rent their gear wherever site you're going, or you can purchase your gear and take it with you. For me, I have purchased my gear, so I will take it on board flights wherever I go, and generally wherever I land or drive to dive at, I'll rent the cylinders and the weights that I need there. But
So-
anything you need, is down to your regulators, down to the hoodies and the gloves and the wetsuit you put on, can all be rented at your local dive shop or at a dive shop at the destination you're seeking.
Kristal, what sort of equipment did you initially invest in, and about how much did it cost you to get your certifications and get started on this journey to diving?
I would say my initial investment was probably between $1,500 and $2,000. The equipment that I needed first was definitely my own fins, your snorkel, your mask. From there, you want your wetsuit. Cold climate, conditions are going to warrant the need for gloves and hood. Later on, you can get things like your regulators, or your buoyancy control devices, or your own cylinder. It grows from there. It does get a bit expensive. But to get in it, I would say your initial investment probably $1,500 to $2,000, and that's going to get your foot in the door, your open water certification, and at least get you down there and learn to love the incredible world we have underneath us.
Cool. What is involved in getting your open water certification?
So you'll go in and you'll do your typical classwork. You're reading your books, studying, taking tests, and then you'll go in and put that classwork into practice in a pool with your instructor. And then once you've completed your classwork and you in that pool, and you have all the skills necessary to complete your open water test, you can go to an area like an open quarry or a lake or an ocean and have your open water certification done there. And then from there, you get a card and you're free. The world is yours.
Oh, okay.
Are there a lot of rules and restrictions that go into diving? Like, are there certain things you have to follow, certain places you can and cannot go, things of that nature?
So definitely the big things within diving is never dive, outside of your experience, your certification. Never dive alone. And definitely, know what you're going first. Plan your dive and dive your plan. Don't deviate outside of that. And those three things in itself, are designed to keep you safe.
Where is your favorite place to dive? Do you have a favorite?
I would definitely say in the diver world, in the diver community, when asked that, usually we'll always say that our favorite place is the next dive. But recently I've had the opportunity to dive in off the Outer Banks actually, and we did that over the weekend, this past weekend, and I had the incredibly rare, experience of being able to dive with dozens of sand tiger sharks, and to sit there amongst them within reach of something so incredibly big, but so incredibly docile and peaceful. Scariest experience ever, but it's the most peaceful experience ever.
Oh, cool.
I bet it's exhilarating as well.
Mm-hmm.
Being down there is the most tranquil, peaceful experience that words could never even describe for me. I can't even accurately put into words. Going through shipwrecks, seeing submarines, diving with sharks, and seeing manta rays and stingrays, and finding all the new species that you haven't seen before, and then checking them off your list, and then finding another one to add to your list. It's an incredible experience, and it's not something that a lot of people do get to experience. And there's an entire world down there under the water.
Have you found anything cool while diving?
Oh, yes. So
Yeah.
I would definitely say my neatest experience would be pulling out shark teeth from the bottom of the ocean about 120 foot down.
Wow. That would be pretty cool. You gotta send me one.
Meanwhile, parrotfish are, about a foot from your face, trying to check out who you are and what you're doing down there. Seeing jellyfish the size of buckets just floating along peacefully.
That would be scary.
It's pretty cool. Seeing 100-foot visibilities and bubbles coming up in every direction, and you're surrounded by schools of fish, and it's like a wall, and every which way you turn, it's like a ballet. They ballet with you, and they dance with you, and
That sounds fun.
if I could show you the world myself, I would.
I definitely hope to see it one day. It sounds like such a fun and interesting hobby. I'll be at a bit out of my stay-at-home mom budget, but maybe one day I'll be living my best life with you.
It starts small. I mean, you could always visit your local lakes and dive there, your local quarries and dive there, your local dive shops, get in the pool and tighten up your skills, further your goals. I mean, from open water, the world's open. You can go into photography, you can go into wrecks, you can specialize in cavern diving or cave diving. You can go into tech diving or rebreather. You can, become a rescue diver, which is, my husband's path, in his goal. It's unlimited.
In your opinion, what would the scariest type of diving be?
I am afraid of caves on land, so I'm definitely terrified of them on water.
Me too. I saw such a horrifying story, and it was like a true story about I think 4 or 5 individuals went into a cave and only one came back out, and he had barely made it, and the others had gotten deceived in the cave system, and they thought that they had found the way out, but it was just a false ceiling, and they got trapped there and lost their air. And I couldn't imagine how horrifying that would have to be underwater and know that you're essentially sealed in your own tomb. Sorry to get so dark right quick, but yeah, that's definitely there's definitely some scary, dangerous parts to diving.
There is. I mean, you're essentially on life support. You're on life support 120 feet, or even 80 feet or less, even 60 feet. And you don't have the option to just pop up. You're breathing compressed gases. So if you do go up to the surface, you just shoot to the surface, that can essentially kill you. At the same time, you have to really monitor what you're doing down there on a computer, which, shows you, or your gauges, which shows you where you're at, as far as, your air left, or how much time you have until deco, or other situations. There are situations where going, certain depths, air becomes toxic and you have to breathe other mixes.
You have to use other mixes such as
Nitrox or Trimix is an area that I haven't gotten into yet. I'm just recently out of nitrox, and but there's definitely things you got to understand and know and practice and enhance skill wise, so that if those areas of emergencies happen, you know how to be in control and not panic and remedy the situation without having to shoot to a surface that you may not even have.
Panic would definitely not be your friend in a situation like that.
No. I had a firsthand experience actually this summer with being out of air myself. I had the hose shoot off the side of my full face mask, and I was unable to retrieve it and correct the situation in time, and I was running out of air. And so I actually had to swim up to another person and get buddy assisted air and assisted up to the surface. And luckily everything did go okay, and I didn't shoot to the surface myself or panic. But it is a situation that you don't know what you'll do until you're in it, and that is hard to tell too.
I would panic and die. I wouldn't want to bother anybody with my inconvenience of dying, so I would just.
And that's where the convenience of having that dive buddy comes in at. For me, my dive buddy is my husband. It could also be, a fellow dive sister that I dive with. But I know that whatever I'm doing down there, they know the same things and they have the same skills as me. And we're not diving outside of our comfort and our expertise. And, we're planning our dive and diving our plan.
What is the depth that you can go to? Because I think with different certifications, isn't there different levels of depths you're able to dive to?
There is. So I have a certification for deep, and that has me certified for up to 120 feet, which is about what most shops will allow. There are certifications to go further, that gets into the technical world, where you can get to 300 feet and beyond. Okay. One day. I aspire.
That's one of your goals, really?
Yes.
What would you do that deep? Go see those scary fish with the big teeth and the light bulbs?
I don't think I could get that deep, but I would love to.
But you'd be close. Like, in my mind, it can't be that far. They're like next door neighbors.
I've only been in this for about a year, and so I've done deep. I've done limited and night diving. I've done navigational diving as far as certifications. I've done rep diving, nitrox, and I've done stress and rescue. Michael's got recovery for when there's no more rescue to be had. I unfortunately am very sensitive and I couldn't do it. So I want to get into photography. I definitely want to get into tech diving. I hope to one day, I want to maybe dabble in caverns, but not caves. And then being on a rebreather, that's the ultimate goal. I want to get into free diving as well, learning how to dive without having a tank strapped to my back. Diving on a single breath of air. That's a goal for me to achieve by the end of the year as well. I want to get, certified in that. And then, I'm a girl, so I want to be mermaid certified. I mean, who
There's
doesn't
a
want to be?
certification for mermaids?
You can get certification to be a mermaid. And who, as a
Wow.
woman, doesn't as to have an inner child that just screams, "Let me be a mermaid."
I want to be a mermaid.
First. Oh, let me
And that's
fun.
another thing, like your local, check out your local dive shops, because sometimes they offer, those classes and tribes free diving, or try, your mermaids, where you can go up there and try it on for an hour and learn a few of the skills it takes to do it. And it only starts there. It only starts there.
So I'm curious, on average, about how long would you say each of your dives are?
So it depends. The further down you go on, typically is the less time you have. Most dives range an average between 35 minutes to an hour long. And that also depends on your consumption rate as well. How much are you breathing? How much are you consuming? So how much are
There's a
you
lot
having
of
to?
variables.
There's a lot of variables. Like, are you fighting currents? Are you swimming up the current, or are you running with the current? I mean, there's a lot of variables to consider.
I'm sure you take that into consideration when planning the dive. And I'm wondering, do you leave a little bit extra air for, like, just in case?
That's a great question. We have a dive rule of the dive called the rule of thirds. So you're usually, if you're gonna go somewhere, you're gonna take about a third of your tank, your cylinder, and that's gonna be used to get where you're going. Then the second third of your cylinder is going to be used to get back to that, to where you were at. And so that leaves the last third of the cylinder for things such as your safety stop, or if you have things that you need to consider, such as the currents picked up, or you've gotten off your navigation a little bit, or things went a little bit amiss and you need to to correct them. So that gives you a little bit of room to maneuver in case anything goes wrong.
Do you have a favorite shark or fish that you like to interact with?
Actually, an intriguing question. I don't think I have a favorite, but I do have to say, like, we have our bucket list, like, as far as what we really do want to find.
What is
And
your next one that you want to look for, to find?
I'd say my number one would definitely be either swimming with the sea lions in the kelp gardens of California, or with the beluga whales. But I'm not a girl who likes cold water, so I would definitely have to get into the dry suit diving before I even attempted that. But ultimate goals as far as warm water diving would definitely have to be, I would love to see sea turtles. I haven't seen any of those, surprisingly. And I love all the octopuses. We have a dive group that just has a lot of octopus fans in it, and so we set out to find all the octopuses we can. And so our first encounter was actually this last weekend, and that was pretty cool. It was only a glance, but it was really neat to experience. I would say the greatest experience I had as far as fish wise would probably be a 350-pound Goliath grouper.
Oh, wow.
Wow, where was that at?
That was in Destin, Florida, off the coast at a wreck called Miss Louise. And it was during their mating season, and they're as big as a bus.
Wow.
Not a bus, but at least a big old car.
Wow, that's huge.
So have you ever seen anyone, like, get bit by a shark or anything, like, totally
No,
brutal?
I have not actually. I've seen sharks come close. I've seen them be, nudged off with their fins, but I've never, in my short, limited year and a half long, experience, I've never been around. I don't think I've had enough dives to even experience it. But again, it's not something that actually happens a lot. It happens more so, I think, to swimmers than it does to divers. But a lot of times that's because swimmers, you have sharks come up for their prey, and swimmers are up, whereas divers are down.
Are going down.
And they're
Oh,
also their swimmers are also splashing and kicking about and doing things
Drawing a lot of attention.
that an injured prey would do, correct? So you don't want to look like a dying prey down there.
Right.
That makes sense.
Don't stay don't be horizontal, stay vertical, fin tips forward, things like that. There's definite things you can do. Don't feed the shark.
You mentioned something about a dry suit. So if you swim in cold water or dive in cold waters, you have a different suit that you would need?
So you have different millimeters of wetsuits. You have, your 2 millimeter, your 3 millimeter, 5, which is what I typically dive with. Your 7 and then 10. For really cold climates, you have your thermal underwear you can don, and then they have dry suits that you can put on, which seals out all water. And it's a whole new style of diving because you're basically learning to manipulate a bubble of air in one big pocket.
Okay.
So
that's interesting.
That would add an extra layer of complexity to diving that I don't know that I'd want to experience.
It's definitely one of those that you want to get experience under your belt. Experience is your best friend before you move on to something else. Never stop learning, never get comfortable enough that you just get too comfortable in your environment, and always do something that allows you to learn, to hone your skill, to make it more comfortable. I learned that myself in my own out of air experience. How can I incorporate this into a practice in a pool so that in the future setting, I'll never have this occur again.
Dives have you done?
I'm in my 40s now. So
oh, wow.
I'm hoping hit my 50th in the Bahamas this October.
You're going to the Bahamas in October?
I am going to the Bahamas in October. Our dive team has set up a private charter out of the Bahamas on Cat Palu, and we are going to spend several nights on that. It is a catamaran, and so we're going to do nothing but eat, sleep, drink, and dive. And then after that, we have an Airbnb set up so that we can get off the ship and just relax for a few days. Because you definitely don't want to dive and then turn around and fly home. You got to deal with that whole, elevation and
pressure
gases. And you don't want to pull that nitrogen out. It'll cause the bends. So we chill out and we sit around and we lay by the beach and we relax and we eat good food and we drink and we share our videos and our finds of what we've seen on all the dives before. And that's the time when we trade all our stuff, see what scores, hey, you saw this and I didn't. And then, we come home and it's really depressing for the first few days afterward. But because it's the slap to reality again.
Yeah, you're back. You're not the Little Mermaid anymore.
Exactly.
Fun is over.
I can't play with thingamajigs anymore. Back to being an at-home mom and wife and all those fun things.
You are going to see some amazing creatures in the Bahamas that you've never gotten to experience. Are there any in specific that you're looking forward to seeing?
I have yet to see sea turtles. And so I have been looking forward to a dive, which is called the Washing Machine. And it's a current dive. So you don't have to do anything. You literally drop to the bottom of the seafloor and you just ride the currents. It's like Little Nemo. When you see the sea turtles, swimming, in the currents, and you go, hey, dude. That's what I'm looking forward to. Just
that
riding
would be so awesome.
Riding the current and seeing sea turtles.
Do you have any other hobbies?
I do actually. So I actually just met a new best friend that I have outside or in the diving community. And she actually introduced me to another childhood dream of mine, which was to learn pottery. And I have just started it. It's been about 3 weeks. I started at a pottery studio and I'm learning how to turn pottery on a wheel, which is pretty amazing. Um, I also grow a lot of plants. If the more exotic, the better. I like weird and I like the funky. I have pet pigs. They take up a lot of time. I would definitely classify as a hobby as well as, not just pets.
Right.
But I have a little, zoo as far as 2 cats, ferrets, fish, dogs, pigs, and I love it. And then I craft. I spend a lot of time crafting. My husband actually a couple years ago built me a crafting desk, and I have a
It
miniature
was
Hobby
beautiful.
Lobby crammed into my that I just recently got back with that my roommate moved out. And so it's like having my own Hobby Lobby in a closet again. It has been wonderful.
That sounds
So
awesome.
much more space for activities.
That's true. Very, very true. Stretch them out. I'm one of those that just I like being a jack of all trades, but as far as being a master, I only want to be a master of one, and I think I found that mastery. I I mean, it's taken us so far. Our goal is to, Mike and I are building dreams off of a dream that was a childhood dream. Our goal is in a few years to sell everything and move off grid on a catamaran and do this every day, dive and sail and continue just dreaming.
I feel like this journey has really brought you and Michael closer together as well.
It has. And that's why I think it's really important, what I said in the beginning, never stop dreaming, and I think it's important that, we use our time wisely. We can accumulate things or we can accumulate experiences. And I would rather accumulate experiences.
Absolutely. There's more value in that, in my opinion.
And you never know where one dream will take you. I mean, what started out as I just wanted to scuba dive on a vacation in Florida ended up changing our entire lives. And we have our dive family that we travel the world with. And I wouldn't change anything for them. I love everything about it, and I love every minute that I spend with them. And it really has transformed our world.
That's awesome. It's always great when you can do something you love.
You never know you're gonna love it until you try it.
That's right.
Put away $1 at a time. Put away every quarter you can find. It starts there. If you can't afford it now, you can afford it one day. Make it a goal. Start small. $20 a month. Go down and then try it and see if you love it. If you love it, take a class.
I feel like I would be terrified. I'm scared of the dark, Kristal. That's something I really don't like telling people, but I'm scared of the dark, and I feel like it'd be real dark down there.
There's times during the day it's actually not as dark as you think. Colors change down there because the sun can't penetrate and the colors can't penetrate. So it takes on a real greenish hue down there, and some of your colors wash out, and you won't be able to see them. But as far as that, I mean, you can still see everything. Night dives is a whole new world.
That would be horrifying.
Yeah, no, thank you.
It's completely the entire only visual you have is with your flashlight.
I could not. I'm a coward. I'd have to sit on the boat for that one.
I'm too tiny for the ocean. That's how I die. I'm good.
There's always something.
Yeah, I'll be the person who helps y'all rip your wetsuits off after or something. I could
there you
not
go.
be there.
I got
There
you.
you go.
I'll make some drinks for you and bring them to you.
I still have fears, and there's still things I'm afraid of. I just don't let it stop me. You know, there
Hell
was a
yeah.
moment, you know, being surrounded by sharks where, you know, I was afraid. But being afraid, you know, you can be afraid and let it stop you, or you can be afraid and continue doing it. And I decided a long time ago that I would never let fear stop anything I did.
Hell
And I meant it. And so yeah, I'm afraid at times. Like, there's moments when I'm sitting and I'm having to do my safety stop and I'm in the middle of the ocean and all I see all around me is blue everywhere I look. And I think in an instant there could be a shark and I'm done for. And that's intrusive thoughts in my head, and that's the fear that takes over. And I just have to remember that I'm not a fish, or I'm not a worm bobbing on a line, and I'm gonna be okay. And I calm myself down and I keep going, and it's always been okay.
Do you ever tell yourself, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming?
And you do. You can't let fear win. I mean, standing beside or not even standing, floating beside sharks, you know, that massively, and even in the photos you'll show me, looking up, seeing silhouettes of that many sharks, knowing you have to, you know, swim up a line through those sharks to get to the boat. Let your mind win. It's definitely terrifying.
Absolutely.
Yep, my mind won already. That does not sound good.
But there's always things that you can do that doesn't involve oceans. There's quarries, there's lakes, there's
Okay, mine.
learning how to be a mermaid, and then becoming a mermaid at, you know, a place that, you know, kids are drawn to, you know, an aquarium or a show, or
That
I mean,
does
there's
I
not.
never
so many.
realized that the mermaid certifications fell under diving.
Mhm.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, that's
It
very
could generally,
interesting.
you're going to want to learn to free dive first. You're going to want to learn the techniques of how to get down there, you know, hold your breath, you know, deal with things such as shallow water blackout that happen when you push your body to the limits. You know, there's free diving champions that, you know, swim on monofins. You know, that, you know, my idol is Alicia Zucchini. You know, to do what she does is phenomenal. Um, but, you know, one day at a time, and one class at a time, and one experience at a time. And hopefully, you know, 20 years from now, I'll have it all the knowledge I can under my belt.
I hope so. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us and tell us more about your
Yeah, thank
hobby.
you.
You're most welcome, and thank you guys for having me.
Man, thank you for taking a chance on us. It's not
I
like
know.
we have a lot of followers or anything, so I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us, because I mean, as lame as it is, this was one of our dreams and we're making it happen.
Making
No,
it happen, baby.
dreams aren't silly. Dreams aren't lame. Dreams are dreams, and even if they're big or small, they start somewhere. And even if you don't have a lot of followers now, I mean, that's another dream, is it not? To have followers all around the world to see you guys. And if we as women can support each other and lift each other up and support each other's dreams, I mean, that's what we should do, not only as friends, not only as sisters, but just as humans.
Yes. You see women put women down way too much. We do need to lift each other up and support each other. It's great that we should. It's
We
great.
absolutely should.
Hey,
One of the biggest
wives
one
getting
one
lives
of
couldn't happen without supportive women willing to come on.
absolutely. And I couldn't do what I do without the support of women, you know, in my field, or even women who are greater than me that I aspire to be like, you know. And if we tear them down, then they have no platform either. So we all want our own 15 minutes, and we all want our platform, and we all have our own goals and dreams to achieve. And you're right. Let's support each other. let's do what humans should do and show a little kindness and a little love and support.
Absolutely. Kristal, you have been one of my biggest supporters for years, and I am so thankful for you.
Absolutely. I will always be not only just your supporter, but one of your best friends. And I'm always here if you ever need me.
Thank you, Kristal. I love you.
I love you too.
I really hope you have a good night, and thanks for talking with us. Anyone got any more questions? Because I ran out of brain juice.
Oh, I'm good.
I'm good
I'm
too.
sure
I
there's
think we
some
got
things
what
that
we
I
need.
probably got wrong. And again, I'm only a year and a half in diving,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of
It
there's
ain't
a
like
lot of
no
things like
one's gonna know except your dive shop people, because like they might be one of our few viewers.
that's
My
okay.
mom,
I'm going to share it and let everybody see. And I'm going to give it actually I'm going to give a humongous shout out to
oh,
Dive Ventures, but to Dive Ventures of not only of Memphis, Tennessee, but of my amazing, amazing, amazing dive family. My husband, who funds and supports and pushes me to achieve my dreams. I love you, Michael. You're my soul. He is literally the air that I breathe. And to Taylor, to Alex, to Patrick, my brother, to Calvin, my brother, and Alex James, my brother, and to everyone else that I didn't name, Donnie, Archie, all of you, thank you for making my family what it is. It wouldn't be what it is without you.
I'm so
oh,
thankful that you have those individuals in your life to support you and guide you through this journey. Because it's been beautiful to be able to watch you grow and achieve your goals and dreams. And I'm really thankful that I got to have this perspective and sit down and talk to you about it. I'm thankful for it.
And one day, I hope to hopefully be an instructor of myself. That's a path I'm actually hoping to take soon. So maybe one day it'll be me teaching you. Who knows?
That would be awesome. I will hold you to it. If you become an instructor, you got to come swim in a lake and teach me. We can't do
I
none of
will.
that ocean stuff.
I'll hold you to it. Absolutely.
Well, thank you again, Kristal. I hope you have a good night. I love you.
Love you too. Good night, guys.
Bye.